Ever wonder what it's like to feel alive but want nothing more than to disappear? The minds that are tired of living hide secrets no one dares to speak. Stay with me and don't forget to subscribe, because understanding this darkness might just save you. They walk among us like shadows wearing faces, performing every daily ritual as if nothing is wrong. On the outside, they smile, they laugh, they say the words everyone expects. They go to work, answer messages, make small talk. You would never suspect that beneath those carefully curated movements, their mind is quietly collapsing. It's not dramatic or loud. It's subtle, slow, almost invisible. And that is what makes it terrifying. Because the collapse is silent, it doesn't announce itself with fire or fury. It seeps in like a shadow stretching over a room until it swallows the light entirely. The mind of someone who is tired of living is not chaotic in the way people imagine. It's not screaming for attention or flailing in visible despair. No, it is the emptiness that feels infinite, a void that stretches from one thought to the next, erasing meaning along the way. Ordinary life becomes unbearable. Small decisions like what to eat or whether to answer a call feel like climbing a mountain that has no summit. Even breathing, the most natural thing in the world, becomes a reminder of effort. Every moment, every action is an act of resistance against the desire to just stop, to vanish into nothing. There's a peculiar kind of strength in this silent endurance, though it rarely feels like it. They keep moving through a world that has lost its color, while their mind whispers that every interaction, every expectation, every connection is pointless. People often mistake them for detached, for distant, for aloof, but it's not detachment, it's exhaustion. Emotional fatigue runs so deep that even joy becomes a foreign concept. Happiness, excitement, hope, all these once familiar states now feel like faint echoes from someone else's life. And yet, they keep going. They keep showing up because the alternative seems even more terrifying. This is the paradox. They are invisible, yet painfully visible. Their struggle is unspoken, unacknowledged, yet it shapes every interaction. They smile at colleagues, they joke with friends, they appear fine, but inside their mind is a battlefield littered with abandoned dreams, forgotten pleasures, and unfulfilled promises. It is a slow erosion of the self, a quiet war that no one else sees or understands. And in this war, the loudest sound is silence. The most powerful force is inertia, and the most dangerous companion is indifference, both from the world and from within themselves. And yet there's something almost hauntingly beautiful in this quiet suffering. It reveals a depth that is rarely witnessed, a consciousness so finely tuned to pain and reality that the superficial joys of life no longer suffice. There is clarity in their exhaustion, a truth that most avoid. They have seen the fragility of existence, the fragility of people, the fragility of meaning itself. They understand that life is fleeting, that the expectations of others are hollow, and that the world moves forward regardless of who survives or who fades away. And carrying that knowledge alone can crush a soul. So they endure. They endure not because life is kind or rewarding, but because the mere act of survival has become a defiance in itself. Every day lived is a silent testament to resilience, a subtle scream against the emptiness that threatens to consume them. They hide in plain sight, walking through streets and rooms, and yet inside they are somewhere else entirely, in a space where even thoughts feel heavy, where existence itself demands payment in suffering. And when the world finally looks away, when the noise fades and the applause dies, they are left alone with themselves, and the quiet truth settles in. Surviving is easier than feeling alive. They endure because nothing else remains. The mind that is tired of living is not always filled with chaos or violence. Often it is filled with exhaustion, an emotional exhaustion so deep that it drains the soul before the body even moves. Every thought requires energy, every emotion demands payment, and the simplest acts of living feel like heavy labor. It is a constant weighing of effort versus reward, and over time, the balance tips toward numbness. Joy becomes fleeting, motivation becomes a ghost, and even pain feels strangely muted. Not because it is absent, but because the mind has built walls too high for it to reach through. Imagine carrying the weight of everything you have ever felt, everything you have ever lost, everything you have ever feared, all stacked in one place inside your chest. That is the reality for someone whose mind is weary of life. The brain, in its quiet brilliance, begins to protect itself by shutting down the circuits that once allowed pleasure, satisfaction, and hope. It is not laziness, it is defense. The mind recognizes that repeated disappointment and relentless strain are fatal over time, so it numbs the senses, dulls the emotions, and turns the world into grayscale. Life goes on, but the colors have been drained. Smiles, laughter, love, they are all echoes from a past self, distant and inaccessible. This numbness is deceptive. To the outside world they might seem calm, detached, even serene. Some might call it strength, but strength would imply that there is a reservoir of energy to draw from, a choice in the matter. This is not strength, it is a survival mechanism, a dimming of the flame so that it does not burn out entirely. The mind has learned that to continue, it must conserve itself, even if that conservation feels like walking through life with a body and no soul. Everything becomes automatic. Wake, eat, work, sleep, repeat. Each day is a rehearsal for the next, a monotonous cycle where the purpose is not living, but simply existing. And yet, this exhaustion carries a bitter irony. They are aware of their own decline. They notice the emptiness, they recognize the numbing, and sometimes that recognition brings even more fatigue. Awareness is double-edged. To know that the mind has barricaded itself is to realize the cost of survival, and to feel the futility of the mechanisms that were meant to protect them. They might try to find solace in routines, in small comforts, in fleeting distractions, but the relief is temporary, the respite minimal. Nothing penetrates the walls they have built around themselves. Not affection, not reassurance, not hope. This is where loneliness becomes a constant companion. Not the kind of loneliness that passes with a conversation or a smile, but the kind that is stitched into every thought, every memory, every heartbeat. Emotional exhaustion does not discriminate. It consumes the brightest moments and the darkest, the loudest crises and the quietest fears. Over time, the mind learns that to survive, it must accept the silence, the emptiness, the hollow repetition of life. And in that acceptance there is a strange, terrible clarity. The world is indifferent, life is labor, and the mind itself is the only witness to its own decay. Yet, in this decay, there is a kind of grim endurance. They continue to move, to think, to breathe, even when every instinct urges them to stop. They endure not because of hope, not because of faith, but because existence itself is the only act left that requires no explanation. The exhaustion does not forgive, but it also does not kill. It merely teaches the mind to survive without feeling, and in the end, the cruelest truth remains: surviving is not triumph, it is surrender. They survive because feeling is too heavy. There is a peculiar kind of torment that comes with seeing the world too clearly. The mind that is tired of living often perceives reality with a precision that others cannot bear. It notices the cracks in people, the fragility of relationships, the illusions that everyone clings to. It sees the patterns of deceit, the empty promises, the fleeting nature of happiness, and the futility of most human effort. Awareness, which most would call a gift, becomes a curse. To understand too much is to feel too much, and to feel too much is to be burdened by knowledge that no one else can carry. This heightened perception is not selective. It touches every corner of their existence. They see the world's indifference, the hypocrisy of social rituals, the fragility of trust, and the weight of time slipping by with relentless precision. Nothing is innocent, nothing is permanent, nothing is truly theirs. Even beauty becomes a reminder of impermanence. Joy a fleeting shadow that vanishes the moment you reach for it. Their consciousness is a lens that amplifies every disappointment, magnifies every injustice, and exposes every lie. To live with this clarity is to constantly confront truths that are unbearable, truths that erode patience, energy, and hope. And it is not only the world they see so clearly. They see themselves with equal, unflinching honesty. Every flaw, every failure, every regret is illuminated under the harsh light of self-awareness. They recognize their own limitations, their own disappointments, the moments when they have betrayed their own desires, the times when they have given more than they received, the times they have failed to act when the world demanded courage. Self-awareness is supposed to guide, to heal, to inspire change, but for them it becomes a mirror reflecting the futility of effort, the inevitability of loss, and the emptiness of striving. The paradox is suffocating. They are capable of insight, but insight comes at a cost. They understand more than they can endure. They see patterns that escape others, connections that others ignore, and motives that others conceal. And yet, this understanding isolates them because few can relate to such perception. Conversations feel shallow, friendships feel fragile, and the ordinary joys of life feel inadequate, like wearing clothes that no longer fit. The more they know, the more alienated they become, trapped between intelligence and despair, awareness and exhaustion. Even hope becomes dangerous. They know that hope is fragile, that expectations can crush, that the world rarely rewards effort, and that people rarely act as they promise. Optimism is a risk, and they have learned that the safest state is guarded detachment, a protective numbness that shields them from the repeated disappointment of living fully in a world that does not care. And yet, they cannot completely surrender to ignorance. The mind will not allow it. They are caught in a liminal space, where seeing the truth is unavoidable, and ignoring it is impossible. This paradox breeds a quiet suffering. Life becomes a constant balance between perception and survival, between seeing too much and feeling too little. Every insight is a blade, every truth is a weight, and in this state, they move through the world with careful precision, avoiding illusions that others cling to, avoiding attachment, avoiding joy that will inevitably fade. They exist in the space between consciousness and despair, aware of everything, touched by nothing, and always on the edge of exhaustion. And when the awareness becomes too much, the silence of the mind speaks the loudest truth. Clarity is a curse. They see, and it kills them slowly. Isolation is not always loud. Sometimes it whispers. It creeps into the mind quietly, shaping thoughts, twisting perceptions, and eroding the sense of belonging until existence itself feels foreign. The mind that is tired of living experiences a profound disconnection, not just from others, but from life itself. Every interaction, every attempt at connection carries the weight of expectation and disappointment. People come and go, relationships falter, words are said and misinterpreted, and slowly, imperceptibly, the individual begins to retreat. They do not retreat because they hate the world. They retreat because the world has proven itself unreliable, unkind, indifferent. This disconnection is not simply loneliness. It is a deeper void, one that cannot be filled by conversation, comfort, or companionship. They may be surrounded by people, yet feel as though they inhabit a separate dimension, observing life, rather than participating in it. Social interactions become draining, emotional exchanges feel like labor, and intimacy transforms into a reminder of distance rather than closeness. Every failed attempt to belong reinforces the notion that the world is a place they can never truly inhabit, and over time, this disconnection seeps into their core, shaping identity and perception, until they are no longer merely isolated, they are fundamentally alienated. In this state, even the most ordinary moments of life carry an unbearable weight. Watching others laugh, witnessing small successes, or seeing fleeting happiness evokes not envy, but a stark reminder of absence, the absence of connection, understanding, and safety. They may try to reach out, to find meaning in others, but attempts are met with indifference, misunderstanding, or betrayal. Each failed effort etches another layer of fatigue onto the soul, convincing them that engagement with the world is an exercise in futility. The mind, exhausted by these repeated disappointments, begins to withdraw further, not as a conscious choice, but as a protective mechanism. There is also a cruel introspection that accompanies this disconnection. They examine their own thoughts, desires, and motivations, searching for flaws that may explain why connection is so elusive. Every misstep, every moment of perceived weakness becomes evidence of unworthiness. The mind questions itself endlessly. Was I too open, too guarded, too demanding, too passive? And in this cycle of self-critique, the boundary between reality and perception blurs. They begin to see the world not as it is, but as a reflection of their own inability to belong, an endless echo chamber that confirms the very isolation they fear. Yet within this alienation, there is a paradoxical resilience. They continue to exist, to function, to breathe, even as the emptiness grows. The mind adapts, learns to navigate the world without expectation, without attachment, without reliance on others. Survival becomes an act of quiet defiance against the indifference of existence. Every step taken, every day endured, is a testament to a strength that is invisible, unacknowledged, and deeply lonely. It is a survival that carries no joy, no recognition, no reward, only the raw persistence of being. Ultimately, this profound disconnection is what shapes the mind that is tired of living. It is not a matter of hatred for life, but a weary understanding that life offers little solace for those who have been continuously unseen. The emptiness is not an absence of will, but an absence of reflection in others, a realization that the world may continue, but it does so without regard for their presence. And in that silence, that invisible void, they exist quietly, enduring because there is nothing else to do, nothing else to cling to, nothing else to hope for. They are here, but no one sees them. In the silence of their minds, the world continues unaware. They endure, unseen, uncelebrated, surviving in shadows where no one dares to look. And in that quiet, unbearable truth, one thing becomes clear. Sometimes, surviving is the darkest form of courage, because even in emptiness, they still exist.